Hello, everyone. This is Face Turn with Candace Cordelia, and I am your host, Candace Cordelia. And I am virtually sitting next to the one, the only AEW's QT Marshall. How are you, QT?
Very good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm
I've
excited as well.
reading PWI since I'm like 8 years old. So
Oh my gosh. So this goes back for you. This is like nostalgia. Congratulations.
yeah, big time, big time.
Absolutely. So, you know what? One of the things that I want to jump into, and this has actually been a question that's been posed to me several times, and I'm also curious. So I want to make sure we get this straight. So
Okay.
your last name, right? Is it Marshall? You're already laughing. I have to ask this because this is like a real controversial topic as far as how to pronounce your last name.
Yeah, Marshall.
Marshall. Okay, we
Yeah.
got that straight.
You got it straight.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been like that since I, came up with it in 2007, and it was just an easy way to, back then get heat from the audience. Right? They announced me as Marshall. I complain and tell people if I hear another person call me Marshall again, I'm just going to leave, and then the whole crowd starts chanting it, and it's pretty simple, pretty easy going. In AEW, when they started calling me Marshall, I was a baby face. I kind of was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. If I ever turn, we'll make a point to, let people know. But still, you have Jim Ross and Shivani that don't want to conform, or, well, Shivani kind of, but Excalibur and JR for some reason just feel like they just don't want to pronounce my name right. So, well, last time I messed with an announcer, though, Paul White beat the crap out of me. So maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just let it slide. We'll see.
We're definitely going to get into that, Paul White, and now we got Sting,
Sure.
on your tail. So we got a lot to get into, but I want to start off with your origin story, rather, how you got started in the business and exactly where your love of wrestling first came from.
Sure. I guess when I was 8 years old, I was into baseball and wrestling, and then baseball kind of went on strike. So there was only wrestling. And then, like, when your parents tell you when you're younger to just be whatever you want, when you grow up, I think that's what they just mean, but they really mean go to college and get a job and do all that stuff. I didn't know that. So I really thought they wanted me to be a wrestler. So luckily we knew some people in the wrestling industry. My mom was friends with Dawn Marie from ECW and WWE, and she let us know that there was a school, and one thing led to another, and I went there, and I was 18 years old and paid my money and made my monthly payments every month. And I was there, 3-4 times a week. He couldn't really kick me out. And then, it's been a struggle for a very long time, but it's just something I've always wanted to do. So the dream has come true, I guess, as they say.
100%. I'm very intrigued at the fact that your mom was friends with Dawn Marie. I mean, what's the story behind that?
So believe it or not, my mom was a bartender, and so was Dawn Marie. And my mom was like a veteran bartender at the bar that they worked at. So she kind of taught her how to do some stuff and, some bartending tricks, I guess you would say. I don't know. But that's how they knew each other. So when we went to an indie show, I was like 12, maybe 13, 14. I don't know. It was right when WWF was still letting people do indie shows. And I remember this one had Al Snow and Val Venus on it. And all of a sudden it was in New Jersey. And then Steve Carino came out and he had Dawn Marie with him. And my mom was just like, oh my God, that's Dawn. And I was like, this beautiful woman, And then one thing led, like I said, then we started talking more and more, and we always stayed in touch. And so she was the one that kind of let me know about that there were schools around and stuff like that. I did some research, and I ended up, going to the Monster Factory in South Jersey.
So you have a cool mom, pretty much. Your mom is
she's the best.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really, really an awesome story. And the Monster Factory is one of the most famous schools, in the country, especially in Jersey. So talk to us about that process, getting started training within wrestling, and how, difficult that might have been for you at the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the etiquette and backstage stuff was difficult for me because having a cool mom kind of means there's no rules as long as you don't get in trouble with the police. Right. That was like my only rule growing up. Just don't get in trouble, whatever. So the wrestling itself came pretty easy to me. And that's only because I've been growing up watching wrestling. So like, if you asked me to drop an elbow drop, I kind of knew already what it looked like. I didn't understand, psychology and stuff like that, but the physical aspect of the wrestling was very, very, very easy to me, almost to the point where I remember the Monster Factory like thought I was already trained somewhere else. And I wasn't. I wrestled on my trampoline with my friends for so long. So, that was a little hard to, gain the trust of the coaches and the other wrestlers and stuff like that. But it was myself and actually Punishment Martinez, who's Damian Priest in WWE now. We kind of started together and it was a real old school style of training. You kind of just got in there and just worked around a little bit. And then when we did shows, we were all in separate locker rooms. You had your babyface locker room, your heel locker room, and they just kind of gave you the finish and you kind of just learned. It was every Saturday. So, if you go on like cagematch.com or whatever, you're not going to see a lot of matches from me over the course of 17 years. But man, for a while I was wrestling every Saturday, and in front of 20, 30 people. But I always say, if you could get 20 and 30 people to get into your stuff, the thousands and thousands is pretty easy. So.
Absolutely. And eventually you made your way to working within Ring of Honor. You've worked within WWE, and now you're with All Elite Wrestling. So, and you've been there since the beginning, pretty much when the company had first started. So you've seen it all. Talk to us about how that process came to be, getting involved with All Elite Wrestling and meeting Tony Khan and really, having a stakehold within the company.
Yeah. So when All In happened, I had been training Brandy and Cody had been coming by the school, and we kind of, had been hanging out. And I think he was just testing the waters to see what kind of human I was, because obviously he has a huge brand that he's got to look out for. And I think putting someone in there that you don't know how they're going to act around other people and stuff like that. So he invited me to All In. So I went with my wife, and one of my students actually performed the national anthem at the show. So we drove her there. We all got in the car. We drove 10 hours to Chicago. I remember asking my mom to lend me $50 to get there. And because I was kind of hurting at the time, but I still had my school and I still had my, my thought process when it came to the school. Like, I'm not going to rip people off. I'm not going to, I'm just going to, it's going to hurt for a long time, but when it does pay off, it'll pay off in major ways. So we went to All In, and then luckily for myself, one of the producers, I guess, couldn't work that day. And Cody had asked me if I could kind of run the gorilla position for like the first half of the show. And I did. And, everything went smoothly. So I guess in his mind, I was just going to go wherever he went. I didn't know anything like that. I didn't know what was going on. My school was affiliated with Ring of Honor at the time. And then when the rally came for Jacksonville, he asked me, he said, "Hey, do you mind driving to Jacksonville? I think I have an idea for you." Sure, no problem. And I got there and he asked me if I wanted to be his assistant, which anything to get a foot in the door, you know what I mean? Like a new company and all that stuff. So I said yes. And one thing led to another. And then I was smart enough to know that a new company starting is not going to have all the pieces in place that they need. Especially, it is what it is, right? There's just not that many people there. They're still looking at who they could trust, stuff like that. So I just started going like amongst myself and just doing everything I possibly could. And then when the time came to ask for a promotion and stuff like that, no one even batted an eye. They were, yeah, absolutely, no problem. You've been a pleasure to deal with. You wear a lot of hats and you know how to wear a lot of hats. And so, yeah, that's how I kind of got started. Once Double or Nothing happened, I had already gotten that position as a producer / coach, basically jack of all trades, master of none, but I'm learning as we still go.
That's the best you can do, right? It's just doing everything you possibly can and seeing where you fit in. And it's definitely a Cinderella story, particularly because this all took place within or right around COVID, especially when the company was just really rolling and catching a lot of steam. But I also want to get into the Nightmare Factory, because that's where a lot of the wrestlers in AEW are training, where they've, gotten their footing. And you're a big part of that, as a coach and co-owner. So run us through exactly your role in the Nightmare Factory and what a typical day is like for you there.
Well, now it's a little bit different because I'm extremely, extremely busy. This week is kind of cool because we don't have Dynamite or Rampage till the weekend, and we train, Monday through Thursday. So obviously 2 days a week I can't be there because I'm on the road for Dynamite. And every now and then I'll fly in on a Wednesday and I fly home Thursday morning, and I try to get there 3 days a week, but that is pretty taking a good toll on me. But yeah, so I started the One Fall Wrestling Academy, right? It was One Fall Wrestling back when 2017. And then I met Cody. And then when AEW started happening, I remember like asking Cody, hey, is this something you would want? Because I have a job now. And that was kind of always the goal. I just wanted to get a job with a major company as a coach / producer, whatever it was. And, obviously he didn't want a full-time school because he's more busy than I am. So we kind of settled on partnering up, and we'd call it the Nightmare Factory, put the brands together. And so that's how that came about. With that being said, I am, the owner, the head coach. We have helpers as well. We have assistant coaches. Glacier is one of our coaches. Then I have my, one of the guys that I've been training since 2017. His wrestling name is Luke Sampson. He oversees when we're not there because he understands what I coach, right? So, and that was something I really had to think about before I could just trust someone to take over those responsibilities when I'm not there. But we normally get there around 4:45. We do our camp from 5 to 7, our 12-week camp. And then we take a little bit of a break, and then we have our night group that comes in. The night group is, guys and girls that I've been training since scratch. Also, people that have done our camps that live in the area, or we see something in, or we feel like they didn't get enough training after the 12 weeks are up for whatever reason. Maybe they missed classes. And also sometimes it just takes a little longer for them to pick up on. But the goal is after those 12 weeks to go out and wrestle. That's what we want. We don't want wrestling school lifers that are just going to, wait for that opportunity. Now, granted, with AEW, it does help with dark and elevation that we can give people opportunities. So that's awesome. But at the same time, like, some have been wrestling 14 weeks. So, you know what I mean? To give them an opportunity to get the same job that took me 17 years to get. I'm very picky on who gets those opportunities, how they get them, how they handle them, all that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty busy when we're there. But it's fun. I love it. And I just did a seminar this weekend in Salt Lake City. I was there scheduled from like 6 to 8 on Friday night. And then on Saturday from 12 to 4. We started at 6. I ended at 2:30 in the morning on Friday. And then we started at noon, and I didn't end until 6 o'clock on Saturday. So it was, they got their money's worth. Let's put it that way. I enjoy teaching, but I also enjoy, really letting people know that this is a real job. It can be done. You can make it. You just have to put in a lot of hard work and, be a good human. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but learning how to wrestle is definitely the first.
So what is it like for you now to see a lot of your students thriving and really, coming into their own on such a, not just national, but international platform that AEW provides?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, there's nothing better as a coach than, seeing them succeed, right? That's what we do it for. And luckily, none of them have disappointed us when it comes to the success going to their heads or anything like that, because we try to keep everyone pretty level-headed and understand that, hey, as good as you are, Preston Vance or Alan Angels or Anna Jay, you're not Cody Rhodes or CM Punk or Daniel, Brian Danielson. So like at the same time, you still got to keep everyone in check and just, let them know that just keep working hard and hopefully things happen and ideas come up. And hopefully, as long as when you get those chances to go to bat, you just do your best to hit a home run.
Mm-hmm, surely. And, we have to talk about you and your progression in the company, because you're also on TV. You're a performer, you're a wrestler, you have a really cool storyline that's brewing, but it started from you being a part of the Nightmare family, and you had your storyline with Allie, and now, you're the de facto leader of the factory. So talk to us also about that progress for you, that, going from the Nightmare family to what your storyline is now. How has that been for you as a performer?
I mean, it's awesome, right? I mean, I've always wanted to be a heel. That's where I feel more comfortable. It's just what I like to do. So when it was presented to me, I knew there was no turning back if I said yes. But also there's a lot of pressure because there's, 3 young talents underneath me. And those guys, I feel like, as well as their coach, but like, their careers are in my hands per se. And so that's a lot of pressure. But at the same time, I mean, I try not to overstep my boundaries when it comes to my backstage role compared to my in-ring role. Like I don't pitch ideas all the time for us. I don't try to get us on TV all the time. it's just not something I wanted to do. And I just hope that when, the boss asks us to do stuff that we just do a great job, and hopefully he doesn't regret it. And I think we have so far, for the most part, done a pretty good job in whatever we've been handed, whether it's, a segment where we're on top at the end, or it's a segment where, we're down in 4 minutes. You know what I mean? We try to stick to our times and just do everything the right way, because it's a privilege to get that airtime. We have a huge roster, and I know there's a lot of Twitter universe that doesn't enjoy when we're on TV, but the overall majority, they seem to watch. So that's great for us. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely exactly what I thought it would be. It was just a matter of how we got there, and were we able to handle it the right way and tell a good story? And I thought that for the most part, we did. But I also knew going in what the role of me was as the leader of this group. It's not for QT to be the world champion. It's to elevate the other guys and put them with someone that's familiar and kind of give them opportunities and see what they do.
Mm-hmm. And all three of them are coming into their own. Absolutely. We have Anthony Ogogo, Nick Komoroto, Aaron Solo, and we're seeing how they have progressed, and it's been phenomenal to watch. And it seems like you all get along really great, and that you're all learning from each other. So for the trios themselves, they've gone up against the Gun Club recently, which I've seen. But for you, what other matches would you like to be a part of? Where would you like to see all of you guys go? Who would you like to see, the factory go up against in the future?
I think we could do some good stuff with the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, that group. There's a lot of factions in AEW. So maybe the Dark Order. I mean, two of those guys in the Dark Order plus Anna Jay, 5 and 10, those were my students. So maybe we could try to recruit them. There's a lot of cool stuff that could be done. Individually, like I said, I really don't think about that because it's just not what I think the goal is. But if I had to choose, I think I could have some fun with some of the younger guys like a Jungle Boy or a Dante Martin, or, those guys that I know what I could do with them, kind of like I did with Fuego on Dark back in the day. Like, that's what I'm good at. That's what I like to do. I enjoy it. It's, it maybe it's an easy way out, but it's less stress. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like I'm open and able to hopefully handle anything that's thrown at me. And that's because still to this day, I train 3-4 nights a week. So any situation in wrestling that I get thrown in when it comes to in the ring, I'm just genuinely not concerned with. And I don't mean it in an arrogant way. I just don't feel like there's anything that I'm going to freak out about or anything like that now. You know what I mean? So, and that comes with, again, training all the time. That's what I really try to instill in all of our students. Like, there's just a certain confidence you have when you know that if you get in the ring and something happens or your time gets cut or it gets extended, it just doesn't matter. You'll be more than okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we also have to get into your time in the ring with Paul White, with Sting. You're sharing the ring with legends, and I'm sure it's a complete and absolute honor for you. What is it like? We just recently saw Sting. He gave you that Scorpion Death Drop. So
yeah.
That was something else. And it was during the anniversary show, which is another huge accomplishment for the company. But talk to us about sharing a ring with someone like Sting or someone like Paul White and what that means for you.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, I started by, having DDP's last match as his partner with Dustin. And then I started teaming with Dustin. So, like, I don't know. I'm just always, fortunate enough to be in there with these legends. And then when Paul showed up and then the story, kind of happened. And I said, that's the most fun I've ever had was leading up to that match. And I knew what the match was going to be and I wasn't worried about it. Again, I don't really take myself too seriously and maybe that's a detriment, but at the same time, like I'm living my dream. I'm having fun. Why? I'm not going to sit around and mope over, some certain decisions that happen in wrestling. It's just not worth it to me. But I've been extremely fortunate to, and then when the Sting idea, when that came up was like, of course, like, are you kidding me? Of course I'm going to do that. Not because I'm, a fanboy, but at the end of the day, it has to be done anyway. So why not me? You know what I mean? And a million people are going to be watching. And listen, at the end of the day, I'm trying to set my whole entire family up for life. That's my goal. It's going to take a very long time. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but that's the goal. So the only way to make that goal happen is to continue to work hard and, make things happen. So yeah, I'm very fortunate. I mean, I just went over it the other day, all the accomplishments that I've had in AEW that, aren't winning and losing accomplishments. It's the first ever bunkhouse, the first ever strap match, being on the card for the first ever Blood and Guts, having Mr. Brody Lee's first match in AEW, just certain things that, somehow I've been thrust being in the first ever Bash at the Beach in AEW, and there'll never be another one due to legal reasons. But just having those matches, it's just been an honor, and it's just, I think it comes down to the fact that for the most part, I work really hard, especially backstage, and I'm very trustworthy. I'm trustworthy that I'm going to stick to my time. I'm not going to go into business for myself. And then on top of that, especially during the pandemic, there's no fans, and it's hard to trust people on live TV when there's no audience, because the audience helps out a lot. It really does. When the audience is out there and they're going crazy, there could be some slip ups, there could be some, mistakes, and they're very forgiving and stuff like that. But when you're in just complete silence, there's nothing worse. But luckily, like I say, I've been doing that for 16 years in a wrestling school. So it was no big deal to me. So
you mentioned the word family not too long ago, and I have to inject, Rhodes to the Top,
sure.
recently aired.
Yeah.
And we're about 3 episodes in, and I was personally cracking up at the 3rd episode because you're featured in it for quite a bit. And there were so many quote-worthy things that you said that I was just laughing at, and not at you, but it's so entertaining.
Was that the episode where I related wrestling to sex? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that don't understand what I was saying. And I'm going to clear it up right now. I don't mean as a wrestler. I mean as an audience member. If you enjoy if you're in, if that's your babyface, that's how you should feel when the babyface wins, which is why the main event, when the babyface wins, we don't put another match on afterwards because you're exhausted. You just want to be done. And that's the same as what I was talking about. For some reason, everyone took it the wrong way, and I'm okay with that because whatever. But, and when the heel wins, like I was saying, it should be what I said, right? It's about to happen, and then the phone rings or someone walks in the house or whatever it is. You should have that feeling in your stomach of oh, my God, and want it even more. That's what I meant. But I'm glad everyone got a kick out of it, because I wish they would have just asked me. I guess I had to go in. I'm pretty sure I went into more detail when we did it, but of course it probably just didn't make air. So.
Yeah. And thank you for clearing that up. We love a good scoop here at PWI. I had a feeling that's what you meant, but I knew as soon as it was said on air, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be the topic of discussion on Twitter for.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, hey, any talk is talk. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about it.
Absolutely. And another part of that particular episode that I really liked was I believe it was Ricky Starks and 10 setting up the baby chair. And I was like, this is too much. This is great. This is so great.
There was something they asked if we could help with, and sure, I'll give it a shot. I mean, I don't have children. So, and I'm not Mr. Fix-It or a handyman. So, but we were able to make it work. The car seat though, the unreal. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that. So luckily, I know now that the police stations and fire stations, if you drive there, they'll help you out. So that's probably, if we have a child, that's what I'm going to have to end up doing.
Very good to know. Good to know. What's it been like for you filming, with everything that you have going on, filming Rhodes to the Top as well and being a part of that?
Busy, right? Especially when they were making me drive an hour each way to just get COVID tested to make sure we're okay. Because that's the, practices and policies of TNT and stuff. But once they realized that it was kind of weighing in on me a little too much, they started sending the nurse to my house, which made it much easier. But yeah, it's been busy. But like I said, I remember when, it was presented, and that show is, obviously it's for Cody and Brandy, but it's also Tony's show as well. He's the executive producer. So of course I'm not going to say no. Cody giving me that opportunity to be his assistant backstage, changed my life forever. So I will never, ever say no to something that they asked me to do. And same with Tony. Him and I have become really, really, really close to, like the other day, he just put out there that he acts like or he thinks of me as his assistant, like his right-hand man. And, you know, that took a lot of hard work and trust and all of that good stuff. But there's, you know, with the exception of if it's going to interfere with my wife, other than that, there's nothing they could ask me to do that I'm going to say no. So I had a lot of fun doing it. Some of the episodes were fun. Some took a long time, and, you know, but I'm excited to see. And it seems like the fans are kind of liking it. So that's the best part.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And given that you're close with Tony Khan and the Rhodes family, what's one thing that, in your opinion, you feel all of you can agree upon when it comes to the wrestling business?
Good content will always win. So that's something that Cody had explained to me, like, hey, don't worry about anything. Just put out the best content you can. Don't worry about, you know, politicking backstage or, you know, stabbing people in the back or whatever. Just create good content. And I feel that whether it's Sammy's vlog or Rhodes to the Top or Dynamite or Dark, Elevation, Rampage, whatever we have an opportunity to do, I really try to, you know, create good content, great content, content that'll keep me afloat when there's, you know, all of these huge stars coming in, and knowing that TV time is expensive, and it's very valuable. So if you get a chance to go out there like we did with Darby the other night, you just got to make sure it's great content.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And huge stars, we're seeing an influx of them, huge new stars in AEW, like Ruby Soho, you know, CM Punk and Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, who you mentioned earlier as well. What are your thoughts about those individuals coming into All Elite Wrestling and having the opportunity to just get to know them as people, much less working with them as well?
Yeah, I think it's great. I really do. And I know that's like the cliche answer, but it's just going to bring more eyes on our company. And if TNT was willing to give us, you know, Rampage, who knows what they're willing to do if we just continue to have great ratings and sell out arenas and stuff like that. Who knows? You know, and I think the more people we have, the more content is available for us to create. So yeah, I'm all for it, like I said, and to really get to know people like CM Punk and, you know, Ruby and I, we've conversed a little bit, but nothing crazy, because I don't really handle the women's division or anything like that. And I have yet to be one of the coaches for those matches, but same with Bryan Danielson. You know, I wrestled him back in 2010 in Puerto Rico. So it's like, you know, seeing him again and just having those conversations. And, you know, you see all these people coming in and they really, really genuinely want to help out. I know that's what everyone says. Oh, I just want to be, you know, elevate the company, but they really do. They believe in what we're doing. They believe that this is the real wrestling they grew up on. And, you know, it's exciting. It's exciting times. I know right now, Tony had just announced that we're going to be doing a special buy-in on Friday night, right before Rampage, with, you know, Bryan Danielson wrestling. Like, that's exciting for any fan that's coming to Miami that night. If you buy the ticket for Friday and Saturday, you know, you're going to get to see Bryan Danielson wrestle twice. You know what I mean? Like, that's, you know, we try to really just give the fans those kind of moments to remember.
Mm-hmm. And you're coming off of the massive success of Grand Slam in Queens, New York. You just had the anniversary show. I mean, there's a lot of things that are just really popping off for All Elite Wrestling right now. And speaking of Grand Slam, being in Queens, I mean, that was a history-making moment. What is it like, or what rather was it like for you being a part of that, being a part of Grand Slam and seeing the fans' reactions and really just taking all of that in?
Yeah, I mean, I'd lie if I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to be out there. But also, you know, I had an opportunity at All Out to be out there in front of a sold out crowd. And, you know, Grand Slam was truly special for AEW as a whole because it's New York, right? And that's not our territory, as they say. And we were able to create our own little MSG, is what I like to say. You know, we created our own MSG. And those fans loved every second of it. And they were rabid. They were waiting for us for 2 years to come there because, you know, they didn't get a chance because of the pandemic and stuff like that. So it was truly, truly exciting. You know, I know I'm sitting next to Tony on the headset and just, you know, giving him a fist pump, like, congratulate. Like, this was, you know, a milestone and something that I know he's worked really hard for and has envisioned his whole life. So yeah, it's really something special. I can't wait to go back. Hopefully I'll be on the card next time, but even if not, like I said, I still get joy out of seeing some of our our students out there, or, you know, just coaching matches and hopefully having them hit home runs out there. Like there's always ways to get my fix, as I say.
Yeah, and you all will be back. You'll be back in New York in December, from what I understand. But
In
it'll
Long
be in,
Island.
yes, Long Island, MJF territory.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
that should be great. That should be really, really great for New Yorkers, people from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, whoever can make it out from wherever. That's going to be a real joy. What do you yourself hope to achieve within? I mean, we only have about 2 more months, 2 months and a half left of this year, which sounds, it's hard to believe. And then we're going into 2022. But what do
Sure.
you hope to achieve, within your career for the rest of
Um,
this year?
I'm looking down because I had goals written down on my
Mhm.
notes, and on January 3rd. So one of them was to main event on Dynamite, which, even if my match wasn't the last one, I do believe that, you know, there are certain matches that I considered primetime matches, right? The ones with Cody and stuff like that. In-ring promo on Dynamite, got that. Scan for an action figure, got that. Um, News appearances, press appearances. I mean, I've been doing a lot of them, obviously not in person, but they're just as good, if not, you know. So I really don't have, for professional, those were kind of the goals. So now I'm just kind of taking it with stride and just hoping, you know, maybe a title match one day. You know, Sammy Guevara is the new TNT champion. Maybe I'll answer one of those open challenges. Who knows? You know, like I said, I'm just trying to have fun and trying to regroup with the factory after a couple tough losses to figure out, okay, where do we stand? Where can we go? What's next for us? Because again, if you're not thinking about those things, you're just going to get left in the dust. That's just the way it works. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I said, I've had a very, very good 2021. Nothing that I can complain about. You know, being on pay-per-view, like these things that I just really worked hard for and really hope to get one day, and also knowing that it was all done the right way. Again, like there was never any politicking, or, you know, I think a lot of people just enjoy working with me, hopefully. So I'm just always thrust into these opportunities. And like I said, every time I go up there, I just try not to strike out. And I don't think I ever have. So I think that goes a long way.
Mhm. And we love seeing it. We love seeing everything that you're doing, how you're helping out your students. It doesn't go unappreciated. So thank you so much for your time, your talent, your effort. And I'm going to leave it at that. I think we're
Okay.
on QT. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything that you have coming up? Any thoughts?
No, I mean, just, you know, just Dynamite Rampage. We want all the fans we can. And this goes out to each and every fan out there. If you enjoy our show, tell people about it. You know what I mean? Like, don't keep wrestling to yourself. And I know that's, a lot of fans are like that. I'm like that, right? I was just explaining, I go to the gym and I see, you know, teenagers that are wearing these like Walmart exclusive old school WrestleMania shirts. Like Shawn Michaels is on it, and he's from like 93, with Stone Cold from 2002, the pictures, but yet it's supposed to be 98. So those are the people that I kind of point out, and I try to talk to them and see if they still like wrestling and stuff like that. And then as soon as they say yes, the first thing I do is explain to them about AEW. I don't really go out of my way to let them know that I'm a wrestler first. I really talk about the producing aspect, because if they don't know who I am when I start talking to them, I'm not going to, like, you know, it's pretty humbling, but at the same time, I'm not there to brag about it. I genuinely want them to start watching our show and give us a chance. So yeah, anyone that's wearing a wrestling shirt that I see, or believe it or not, anyone that's wearing Project Rock Under Armour, I try to, like, because that means either they're a wrestling fan that used to watch wrestling, or they're just a big fan of The Rock. And if they're a fan of The Rock, hopefully they've gone back and kind of looked at what his body of work was. And then I can kind of bring it up like, oh, well, you should check us out. Give us a chance. Here's a clip, yada, yada, yada. Here's what we got going on. You got Chris Jericho. You got CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. You got all these huge stars. Just check us out. And like I said, if you're a fan of what we do, definitely tell everybody about it, because, you know, we're on such a roll right now, but we can never have too many fans. And I think AEW goes out of their way to give the fan the best experience possible. We do it the right way. We try not to insult their intelligence, and we just, you know, we want it the way it was when we were growing up and how much we loved it. And we want to give those fans that opportunity. And if they have children, to pass that on to them.
The selfless QT Marshall. Thank you so much.
No. I'm not selfless at all, but at the same time, I am. I just know that that's kind of the way you need to be, because this could be taken away any second, and I just want to enjoy it. It's providing me a great life for my wife and I, and now Buttercup, our puppy. So, I just want to keep that going as forever and ever and ever. I told Tony not too long ago when my year was up and we were just talking about stuff, like, I'll sign a paper today. I'll be here forever. I never want to leave. I don't want to retire. I just want to continue doing this. This is the most fun I've ever had. And it's just exciting to be a part of it and watch all these things happen and see those fans' reactions and stuff like that.
Yes, and we're having fun watching you and the whole entire AEW roster. So thank you once again for everything that you do. And keep telling young folks to watch All Elite Wrestling, because it's important. You are absolutely right. And I agree with you. Thank you so much, QT, for coming out, talking with me. It is an absolute pleasure once again. And hopefully we have the chance to meet in person one day and have another one-on-one. But yes, please go ahead and plug yourself if you want to. I usually leave the end for you to plug yourself, your socials, projects. And also, I do want to add, everyone that's watching, there is a documentary about QT Marshall. It is before your AEW days, but it is out. I believe it's on Tubi.
Tubi or Roku, or I don't know. It was a terrible time in my life. It ended up being the greatest thing that ever was done for me, because Cody saw it and he saw the passion I had for wanting to be in the wrestling industry and stuff like that. So it's really cool. I'm on Twitter. I finally got my name back. It's just at QT Marshall. Instagram, real QT Marshall. And I try to post as much as I can. I try to also enjoy my life. So every now and then I'll do some Twitter question and answers and stuff like that. I try to post about our shows without just being the advertising guy on social media as well. But, like I said, I also try to enjoy the time that I have off with my wife and, at the school and stuff like that. So there are some times that I actually have to set reminders to tweet out stuff, because it's like a whole nother job, in itself.
Certainly. And I apologize for that noise in the background.
That's okay.
Real life as it keeps going.
Yeah, of course.
Virtual world of PWI. Thank you, sir, for coming out. And I look forward to seeing whatever you get into on AEW Dynamite. That is on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone, Rampage, AEW Rampage on Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And keep watching PWI Face Turn with Candace Cordelia, because you never know who will be next on the show. Take care, and thank you all for watching.